Hey, it's Tay and B, and welcome back to another episode of Say More from Both Sides. If you have not already, please like, comment, subscribe, and share our podcast to someone that you know will also enjoy our conversations. We thank you in advance. In today's episode, episode 6, we will be talking about the things that we do not say out loud. It's about to get deep into our minds. We all had, well, we all still have actually, thoughts that we don't say out loud. There's conversations that get replayed, those memories get replayed. There's hidden emotions with words that are left unsaid, but we also wish that we did say certain things at certain times. We even ponder on words that we cannot take back, and words are powerful. This leaves us to eventually unpack the unspoken truths, all the unspoken thoughts, and the unspoken opinions. And this can be in regards to adulthood, society, relationships, and all the in betweens that life gives us. Our mind is basically our internal diary, and our internal photo album. It gets hard and very tiring when we try to outrun our thoughts that run through our mind. And this can often affect our peace. Whether we stay silent, it can either protect our peace or staying silent can steal your peace. What do you think, B?
I feel like silence can protect your peace. I do not believe in giving people the reaction that they are expecting anymore. I feel like it's natural for us to react off of certain things at that moment, but I've also learned that it does not deserve your energy. And even though I'm saying this, it's not an easy skill to master as people may think. It does take a lot of time. It took me a long time to understand and also master that. I feel like you'll know when you're done and it's just like, okay, let me stop giving people reactions. But I also feel like it depends on what season of your life you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're in that toxic crash out mode, you're not gonna know how to do that. You gotta get through that phase first. I feel like you just gotta be tired of giving all that energy to people. Um, so with that being said, it does not mean that you should bottle it up, you know, have an outlet to express yourself or find somebody to that you trust, of course, heavy on the trust, trust to vent to and, express how you're feeling about a certain situation and how a person made you feel. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that.
I agree with what you said about finding like a trusting and comfortable outlet to vent to and talk to. And I think sometimes it's hard for individuals to go to people for different reasons. Maybe people feel like the situation is so severe that they can't really talk about with anybody, and they feel like they can handle it or need to handle it alone. Or sometimes we think, well, they ain't never been in this situation, or they don't know what it's like in my shoes. So heavy on, find somebody that you can trust and really are okay with venting to. And sometimes, we don't always like need a reaction. Sometimes it's really okay to just listen and be there and support somebody. So I agree. And it's important to know like when to respond and when not to respond. No response is a response. And silence is peaceful, like you said, literally and figuratively. So I agree. I like what you said about that. Because I think staying silent can protect and steal your peace, depending on the situation. To protect our peace, I feel like we normally do that to, avoid escalation of certain situations. And like you said, it helps like control your reaction, control your emotions, preserve that good energy, and process the situation fully. So, like B said, if you're in that crash out toxic moment or that season in your life, like eventually you are going to get tired of that negative energy, and you will have to learn to simmer down a little bit, and just have a level-headed mind when it comes to protecting your peace. And then also, I feel like staying silent can steal your peace, because there will be moments where you have to speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself. Even like how people stand up for what they believe in, like when it comes to like social injustice and everything. But that's different. I digress. But when you stay silent, stealing your peace, it can cause like internal chaos and uneasiness. And that's where we find ourselves sometimes becoming like high in stress, very stressful situations. We become anxious, we overthink. And sometimes I think being silent can like steal your peace and your identity a little bit. And there's a weight of unspoken words. So I think being silent can protect and steal your peace.
Okay. Yes, I definitely can agree with that. And with that being said, do you think people are more honest and open in private conversations or in public?
Mm. I think it depends on the person and their environment. We all have a choice to be honest or dishonest. And I think people can be honest, but I also think that it's a little easy for people to be dishonest. But of course, when they say when you tell a lie, you got to tell like more and more and more just to try to keep up with it. So just be honest in the first place. But anyways, I feel like people lie in public and private conversations settings, whether it's because they, want to front for their audience, or um, if something may mess up their image or opportunity, or they're, afraid of the wrong viral moment, things like that. And then when it comes to private conversations and settings, maybe, people are dishonest because they don't want to like lose a bond or a person, or they're just not, comfortable within themselves or the situation. And I think when people choose to be dishonest over honest, it kind of overall boils down to being fearful. When we have fear stops us from a lot of things. It makes us hesitant of so much. And me, I think sometimes, like, why is the feeling of fear so strong and loud? Like, why do we allow that feeling to be like that? And shout out to everybody who is, unapologetically themselves, authentic. They don't hide, or they're not ashamed of themselves. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Proud of you. Love that. The world needs more authenticity. Um, but I think in order for us to really be open and honest in public or private conversations, we really have to be open and honest and accepting of ourselves at the end of the day. And I feel like that will help us be more honest in conversations.
I agree. I really feel like it depends on the conversation. I feel like some conversations are meant to be in public and some are meant to be in private. As far as the public ones, I feel like if you know, whether it's you or the other person, if you know that that conversation can possibly get physical or someone feels threatened, I feel like having it in a public place is not a bad idea. Um, there'll be people around, and I don't know, it's just so much stuff that happens behind closed doors, and you never really know what happens. I feel like you don't know what happens when they're having that conversation and then it becomes physical and then someone ends up passing, or in a lot of cases domestic violence happens. That person ends up killing the other person and then killing themselves. So when it comes to situations like that, public, I also feel like private conversations are important because it allows people to be vulnerable and be honest or lie, whichever one. It just depends on the person. Um, but it's also easy for people to hide things and, avoid conversations like go into the other room or be like, I don't really want to talk about it. So I just think that it depends on the people involved in the conversation. But I feel like it could be both public or private. It just depends.
I want to piggyback off what you said about how some things need to be said in public. And it just got me thinking, like, for example, on social media, like when they get to bullying or when they get to doing all that rah rah, and then they make their like apologies as loud as the disrespect was. So they apologize and have the conversation, clear things up in public, on public settings. So yeah, I agree with that as well. That's just an example that be happening.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like yeah, and I don't really care for that because you could have did that in private.
Yeah,
That's why, yeah, it
but
depends.
but if it, yeah, it depends. It depends because some people say, if it happened in public, if the disrespect was in public, they want to apologize and clear it up in public. But some people be like, no, I'm gonna just do it on the back end because everybody don't need to know, you know.
Yeah, I just feel like public conversations are like, ones that can become domestic or um I can't even think of it right now. I just feel like it depends. Or if you're trying to break up with somebody and they might crash out or get toxic, like that's a
Yeah.
perfect place to do it in public because people just react differently. But also, in return, just because you have it in public does not mean that you're going to be safe because
Mm-hmm.
people be quick to pull out their phones.
On and record. Yep, and also like stories get misconstrued too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the person and the conversation.
Facts. Facts. That is true. So let me ask you this: is there a truth or an opinion about yourself that you hide or try to hide to avoid judgment or opinions from other people?
Yes, but at the same time, it's not because I'm ashamed of it. It's just because I don't feel the need to share it with everybody. And for me, it's not so much as conflict. It's just, certain things I don't want to hear your opinion on. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need you judging me. I really don't. I really don't want you to know. I don't really care for you to know. It's just like if I want somebody to know something, I'll let them know. So I just feel like as long as I'm not struggling with something that may cause harm to me or anybody else, the only person that will hear about those things is a therapist. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's people's business when it comes to certain things. Because people talk too much, and
Yep.
people talk too much. They're very quick to judge, and yeah, it's just too much that comes with that. So certain things, yes, I do hide, but It's just because I just don't want to hear your 2 cents. I can honestly care less. If anything, that's gonna piss me off. So yeah. What
I
about
feel
you?
you. I feel you. I never hid being myself, but I also agree about I have kept some information to myself, hid some information, like you said, because everybody, don't need to know everything. And I think that, I think some people probably learn that off of growth. But, we also talked about that in our last episode, episode 5. Everybody check it out. Where we talked about being comfortable like telling people certain things and keeping things to ourselves for various of reasons. So there's that. And also I think no matter if I even pretend to be somebody else, or if I'm never authentic, or when I do show my true self, people are always going to have a thought or opinion about me regardless, good, bad, or neutral. And you know what the old heads say, people gonna talk about you till the day you die, no matter what you do or what. So I never hide being myself, and I'm okay with that. And I have thoughts and opinions myself on different things. And when it comes to certain moments and situations, I of course different parts of me show, and everyone has not seen every part of me or has not seen the same parts of me, nor does everyone know like my full background or my backstory to having certain thoughts or being the way that I am. So it don't matter. I'm always just gonna be myself, and just people gonna have something to say regardless. So
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback. I don't think that for me it's me hiding myself. I don't think it would be so much as me trying to hide myself from people. I just feel like if certain things came out in the open, it would just be like it'd probably be like a damn or a shock thing, or it'd
mm-hmm.
be like oh, that's what happened, and just being judgmental. I don't feel like what I want, what I don't want people to know is more of me hiding myself. It's more of you're gonna judge me for sure type of situation, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah,
yeah, I agree. Because also with that and within myself is more of like a safety thing too,
yeah,
being safe, like internally, like knowing that you're how you feel is safe and things like that.
exactly. Yeah. What are society's unspoken rules about what not to say?
Mm, I feel like society got a whole bunch of rules. Like the list go on and on. But for examples, like how they say not to constantly point out flaws of someone, or don't ask a woman about her age or her weight. And when they say don't ask about people's financial status, or the most popular, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And I think when it comes to unspoken rules, I feel like it came from some ideas to like avoid embarrassment or have some type of control over like cordial interactions. And I feel like when society came up with these unspoken rules, that some way some of them can probably like keep boundaries in place, aware of sensitive topics and sensitive people at that. So I feel like the unspoken rules kind of help prevent awkwardness in conversations, and can eventually avoid like certain negative results, or even like crash outs from misunderstood situations. And overall, like there's nothing wrong with being open and honest. If you feel like you need to say something, go ahead and say it. And we always think certain ways in our minds, but we always don't think of how it comes out. And I think that sometimes, of course, like say what you need to say. Yes, like emotion is behind it regardless. So some emotion is going to show, but just be mindful that it's not what you say, but how you say it at times too. So
I can agree. But I do feel like there's a certain time and a certain place for everything. So I do agree with that to a certain extent. Everything doesn't need to be said at that moment or done at that moment. But I feel like people also have gotten comfortable with trying to make everyone think and agree with them. I don't like when people force their beliefs or opinions about certain things onto someone else. And I feel like that's kind of being a hypocrite. We all want people to respect us, respect our perspectives, but we also need to keep in mind about respecting others because everybody doesn't agree about certain things. So yeah, it's just a lot of unspoken rules. And but like I said, I do feel like it's a certain time and a place for everything. So it just depends.
yeah, and you're right. We do have to remember that people are not like us, and that people do not think like us. And I think that that's a hard reality for a lot of us. We, like you said, like how respect goes both ways, and we have to keep in mind that not everyone has been what we've been through, or the similar background or anything. So nobody's the same. Nobody thinks the same. So yeah, I think you're right. We all need to keep that in mind, and I think that'll help. I think that'll also help with like balancing relationships as well, work, friends, all of that too. But that's for a different episode. So, why do you think people hide behind certain statements? Like, why do you think people say, I'm fine, and they really don't be fine?
I feel like people say that they tell themselves that in order to keep going. Um, I've noticed in a lot of relationships, especially women who have children, I feel like when it comes to women with children, they feel like you'll eventually figure it out on your own. And people can see you actually struggling, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, and won't do anything about it. So I just feel like when it comes to that too, that's when a lot of postpartum and all of that, that's when somebody eventually snaps. And then when it does happen, usually something bad happens afterwards. And then people want to be like, well, if that person would have just asked, we would have helped them. But sometimes people do ask, not everybody, because some people don't, honestly. Some people just suffer in silence. But for the people that do ask for help and they don't get the help, I noticed that people start feeling guilty, like, oh, maybe I should have helped her when she needed it, or instead of being selfish. So, um, yeah, I just feel like we tell ourselves that in order to keep going, knowing that we're not okay, and knowing that, you know, I don't know. This one is just kind of a hard subject because it just, me saying I'm fine, sometimes it could mean that I'm just okay. Sometimes it could just mean I do need help, but I'm scared. Or I do need help, but I know you're not going to help me just because of the person you are. And I probably asked you for help and you said no. So why would I ask you again?
Hmm.
So I feel like it just depends on the situation and what you're saying. I'm fine too.
Facts. I feel like, going off what you said, people don't ask for help because some people will get upset for, or they'll think like you're being nosy as well. Like, they'll ask for help, or like you'll try to help them, but they'll be like, "Oh no, you just want to be in my business," or I feel like some people don't accept the help because I feel like they may get mad because that person didn't like help to the, like their help didn't suffice basically, or like it wasn't done how they wanted to. So I think not to say that you wrong, but I think sometimes people be thinking like that too, maybe that's why they don't want to help nobody. But no matter what, like you said, there's usually signs before destruction, like those silent cries, and people ask without actually asking, or they say things ask without actually saying it. Like sometimes us on the outside, like we have to learn to read in between the lines and really pay attention. And that's, I guess that just comes with like knowing the person as well, but just knowing them and paying attention to them. And also, like when B said, the people suffering in silence, just because they don't ask for help, please check on them, check on the strong ones, because I don't care who it is, everybody goes through something. And I think that's where like the "I'm fine" comes in as the most casual answer. Also, it's very very common. Every time somebody says, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm fine." Like it's just the first thing that pops up. And like B said, some people use it as an emotional shield from like facing their actual feelings, or some people just say "I'm fine" because they don't want to feel like they're a burden to others with their problems, or like they just really don't want to tell their business, or they just say "I'm fine" to bypass like unwanted opinions, inputs, insights, advice, stuff like that. And it kind of got me thinking. I don't know why like I jumped to this, but when I was thinking about that, it also made me think like why people hide their true personality. Like why do people hide behind what's not them? And it also makes me think that people are just, I think just have like fear and a lot of doubt with some things, and like they just don't want to hear or face criticism or judgment, or fear of like not fitting in with others. They get to overthinking about themselves. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of reasons actually why people, overall, why people say "I'm fine." So yeah, just like a cover up, the most casual answer, the usual. Do you think it's harder for people to forgive themselves or forgive others?
I feel like forgiving yourself is way harder than forgiving others. As I said in a previous episode, I just feel like you don't have to forgive people. It could be on your terms. If you don't forgive them, then you don't. So, but I feel like it's harder for us to forgive ourselves because a lot of the times we ignore signs, our intuition. We don't use the discernment we've been given. And I feel like that's when things fall apart and we tend to blame ourselves for everything that happened or, you know, occurred in that moment. So that type of hurt sits differently too, because especially for me, I tend to replay certain things in my head and, you know, just think about things that I could have done differently, or if I would have just did this, I wouldn't be in this situation, or if I would have just left, this wouldn't happen. So, and then I also feel like people who love deeply or care about people a lot more, it takes us longer because We carry the weight of the situation longer. Um, but we also have to understand that sometimes forgiving ourselves means that we accepted what happened and we did the best that we could at that time, and that it wasn't easy for us or the other person. So, yeah, definitely forgiving yourself is way harder than forgiving someone else.
Mm, that's the truth. And I think, I think this is something that's not talked about enough, is forgiveness. And just real quick, like on a general aspect, forgiveness is hard, whether, you're trying to forgive yourself or forgive someone else. Like B said, it's so easy to remember the pain, the upsetting moments, or that particular moment where things just went left, and it's hard to forgive because some people may think like, oh, you're excusing the behavior, or oh, you're too vulnerable, but that's not the case. Like, we forgive for ourselves to be able to just move forward. And I think that with ourselves, we remember like our failures, and sometimes we can confuse accountability with self-punishment. And I definitely agree where it's definitely harder to forgive yourself, um, because we know ourselves the best, and we have those high internal standards and those plans that we made for ourselves. So I think it's harder to forgive yourself, even by my own personal experiences in all different ways. There's times where we be like, oh, oh, I messed up this opportunity. I can't get that back. Or, oh, I should have did this differently with him or her. And, things like that. Like, we just have to accept and forgive and just learn to continue to move forward. Um, I feel like I feel like that's the most hurtful moment when you need to forgive yourself. I think that that's an underestimated step when it comes to like reflection and healing and processing things. And also, to forgive yourself, I'm telling you, God will humble you hard in a different way, and you will have to sit with everything and think of everything. And yes, forgiving yourself and forgiving somebody else will definitely humble you in different ways, for sure.
What are some things you plan on saying more?
On the positive side, I want to say like more affirmations and manifestations. um I feel like I can say more compliments, and also more prayers. I feel like when it comes to like more positive affirmations and manifestations, I feel like I can help myself increase my self esteem. I am soaking up more positive energy, putting my focus more on the positive energy, and it'll, like, help me become a better her. Avoid the overthinking, which that has actually calmed down, and I've been doing really good with that. Proud of myself, and I think that it'll help me, be stronger within my faith. Um, when it comes to compliments, I just feel like we just never know, what people are going through, and just saying one nice thing can change, someone's day. Like, we never know, someone could be about to pop off, and you just be like, oh, girl, I like your outfit, that's cute. And, the whole mood change, and, we just never know. And it's all good just to give props when props are due. And just like how we want to receive good energy, we also have to spread good energy as well. Be that example. And when it comes to prayers, like, I'm a prayer warrior, so I'm the prayer person. I'll pray, but also I can still pray more. I can still get closer to the Lord, and overall, like, prayer just makes me feel better. It just calms me down. It's like my safe space. Like, it's just me and the Lord. We just talking, and I know that what is said is between me and Him. So I'm gonna say more of those things.
Okay. Right now, I feel like even though we say saying more is saying less, I feel like I'm in a say less. I'm in that silent mode. I don't really have anything right now that I plan on saying more, and not to say it's a bad thing, but I'm just at the point in my life where I'm just going with the flow of life. I'm in my it is what it is phase. So there's not really anything that I feel like I need to say more of. I feel like I just need to say less and just let things work out on its own
Mm,
instead of worrying about it and all this other stuff. So that's what I'll say. I'm not really in a say more type of thing. I feel like right now being silent, um, just letting life happen and accepting it. That's really the main thing, just accepting and understanding that it is what it is and to move forward from that.
okay, yeah. You know what? I can take that from that point of view as well. Saying less, it is what it is, and just accepting and knowing will will be will be that peace. And with that, because you said that, what are some things that you have outgrown?
Um,
And yeah,
I've
there
out.
is thunder in the background. If anybody hears it, it's pouring.
Oh wow. I've outgrown trying to please people. I've also outgrown giving people more than what I receive in return. Is just like I said before, another phase in my life where I just don't want to do it. I just feel like I give myself to people. I'm always there for people, and I don't really get the same in return sometimes. And if you, how can I say this? If you give me, what is the word I'm trying to think of? If you give me bare minimum, I'm giving you nothing. That's just how I feel about that. I'm just in the phase of my life where I don't want to please people. I'm not trying to give all of myself to people and they don't give me nothing. Yeah, that's one thing I've outgrown. If you give me little, I'm giving you nothing. If you give me more, I'll give you more. It's just vice versa. I just feel like people take advantage of good people and people that they know will be
Are
there
good
for them
people.
or is a
Yeah,
good person.
facts. You know that's that's good. I'm gonna have to reflect and think on that myself. Definitely heavy on the outgrowing, the giving more than receiving, and also with that, putting other people before me as well. So I'm gonna add that to my list because I put like keeping emotions and my thoughts inside. And also these two kind of go hand in hand, is like outgrowing quick reactions and outgrowing being too loud on the creek. That is my favorite saying right now. So I'm gonna overly use that. But just knowing when to speak and when not to speak, knowing when to process my emotions and process the situation, calm down before I respond to something or someone, think it through, And as we said earlier, like, no response is a response. Staying silent can protect your peace. Not being so impulsive, and just saying whatever I got to say. If I need to say it, I need to say it. If I feel myself even starting to overthink something, no, I'm gonna just say what I gotta say. Whatever's on my chest, I'm gonna say it, and that's that. Not really keeping people comfortable, like basically making myself more comfortable now, making sure I'm good at the end of the day, making sure I could sleep and I got a clear mind. So that's what I've outgrown.
Okay, okay. Alrighty, so we're gonna do a mental check-in. So, Tay, how are you feeling this week so far? Even though we're only in the Tuesday.
I've been feeling good. I started two new books. I finished that last book finally. I picked it back up and kept reading it, but right now, today, I started this book. Is called I Declare. Um, and funny thing, my first grade teacher actually got me that for my graduation. I thought that was so sweet. My first grade teacher. Oh, but it's like a 31-day declaration, basically just speaking life over yourself. And then the other one is a novel. It's called The Lady Who Sings the Cruise. And it's very interesting so far. I'm only on chapter 3, but yeah, I'm liking it. How are you feeling?
Um, I am, I don't know, I am not sleeping like I should. And I know you all are probably thinking, like, how is she not sleeping and her kids are gone? I feel like now that they're gone, I have time to sit in my thoughts, um, and, just think about everything that's been going on and that's happened. And I can't sleep. So, um, yeah, usually it's being that when they're here, I'm always on the go. I'm always thinking. Like I said before, I got to think fast. Now that they're not here,
It's like it
I'm just,
slowed down a bit, huh?
it's slowed down and I am thinking about things that I've kind of put on the back burner.
Mm,
Um,
that makes sense, though. I can see that.
so, yeah, I'm tired and school starts in a few weeks, and this semester I'm pretty much going to be fighting for my life again. And I'm also waiting for this lady to respond back to me. I found a therapist. I just need to see if she takes my insurance and what she has available so that I can see whether or not I want her to be my therapist or if I'm going to keep looking. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling
That's
this
what's
week.
up, though. That's what's up. Again, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Is there anybody new you're listening to, or
Honestly, I've been listening to music for like us to get ready for the concert because I'm in that mode now. So that's really all I've been playing. Trying to some lyrics I done forgot, some lyrics I'm still good at. So I'm just ready. I'm getting prepared for that. Honestly, what you listening to?
I'm still listening to Rollo, um, and then that Future. So far I like it. It's a couple of songs I feel like he's in his rock and roll era. I don't really care for those, but like that first, love it. But yeah, Rollo and Future. I'm back on the trap music. I need to be listening to some of the Chris Brown and Usher song, but I pretty much know some of them except for that new album, that Brown album. I don't know nothing off that album.
I ain't heard nothing off Future new album. Mm-mm. But also, Eric Bellinger and Mario on the concert too. So I was
Oh
like,
my God. And I love Eric.
girl, yes.
I love him so much.
Girl, yes. We picked the right concert. I'm telling you. See all four in one. We good.
Yep.
That's marked off my bucket list.
And yes, for sure. I can't wait. And I'm just trying to stay positive too. I hope everything just runs smooth next week. And I hope the weather is not crappy.
I was gonna say, I hope it don't rain because it rained a lot here.
Yeah, so fingers crossed. Alrighty, y'all. That's it for today's episode. We really, really, really appreciate you all for listening and, reflecting and growing with us. If this conversation helped you in any way, please share it with someone else. And we will see you next time for another honest conversation. Until then, take care of yourself and don't be afraid to say more.
Period.